Hey, Kaylee, reminder, we're going to do the Easter egg in the beginning.
Let's go, I'm a bulldog. So Georgia, who I'm picking. I love the family atmosphere and the way they handle.
What's up, everybody? What's up, DawgNation? I'm going to tell you, this is a week where you make sure your phone battery is charged. You get one of those Jordan Davis-sized bad boys right there, and you go to work. I'm Jeff Sentell. This is a busy week for UGA recruiting. We are going to have a chance to witness the next 2 days for Georgia to potentially go 2 for 2 on the commitment trail, on commitment watch. Everybody wants to know about Matt Zollers. We're going to have that on our show. We're going to break down Mason Short and what type of addition he would potentially mean to the Georgia class. Got some good interview from Evans High School, interview stuff there from Evans High School coach Barrett Davis. But hold on a second. Hold on. Forgive my manners. This is the South. I'm Jeff Sentell. This is Before the Hedges, brought to you by Kroger. That is my trusty first grade picture from Mrs. Thomas. And now's the time each and every week on Wednesday nights when we talk about Georgia football recruiting. We've got a smorgasbord. That's a pretty bad piece of language right there. How about a charcuterie board of meats and cheeses and all things you want to see on Georgia football recruiting. Not only do we have something regarding Matt Zoller, something regarding Mason Short, but also we have for you guys, we have the resurrection, I guess. You know, I always try to get this in here, but it's hard to do it in the off season. But we have a dog of the week this week. It is going to be something that makes you smile. We've also got a DawgNation conversation with recent Georgia commitment, Stephon Shivers, as in worldwide shivers, as in the quarterback's getting some shivers when Stephon's lined up over the nose. That's what you got here. But before we dive into and we start going down all the Kroger shopping lanes of everything with Georgia and Georgia football recruiting, we're going to do something kind of new. Like a couple things that are going on right now, obviously with the Zoller stuff, we'll get to that. Georgia is having a pretty impressive visitor tomorrow. 2 2026 visitors really stand out. 5-star linebacker Tyler Atkinson, but also current USC commit Brandon Lockhart. He's actually getting on a plane. He's actually getting on a plane right now to make his way to Athens to check out. And Brandon Lockhart is a current USC commitment, 5-star-ish cornerback in the 2026 class. He was at Georgia. The Dante Williams relationship there is quite strong, quite vibrant. And he had told me this kind of winter that he'd already planned after a really fruitful first trip to Georgia. He had already planned to come back for an unofficial visit for the Georgia-Tennessee game this fall. Well, update, Mr. Lockhart could not wait. He's coming in tomorrow to spend a couple of days in Athens to check out all things Georgia. That's some positive news on the 2026 recruiting trail. So you got a lot of stuff going on right there. As I said before, we have a lot of show, a lot of interviews to get to. Thankfully, we've got future president, I believe, Miss Kaylee Mansell, producing our show tonight, doing a very great job as always. We've got everybody reaching in. I hope everybody's getting a little bit closer to G-Day. Can you guys believe we're only 10 days away from G-Day? You get that, it's that time of year again. Some might argue, and I'd love to know what you guys all think about this, some might argue that this time right now is the best time of the year because you got the Braves, you got the Masters, you got the NCAA tournament, you've got Georgia in spring practice, you got G-Day coming up, you've got some schools in the state of Georgia already thinking about spring practice in April. You just have the convergence of all things amazing. Like I said, NCAA tournament, you got the Braves, you got G-Day, you got the Masters. Some would argue that right now is their favorite time of year. And, this is what we're going to do here. I thought to myself, I'm in the holiday spirit. I had a great Easter weekend. I'm sure Kaylee, did you have a great Easter weekend? Did you enjoy yourself? Good stuff like that?
I did. I always love being with my family. Easter's a family holiday. You can't complain about that.
I'm sure there was a big prize egg in the Mansell Easter egg hunt. But in the spirit of Easter eggs, and that was basically something we'd never done before on Before the Hedges, that was Kaylee appearing as Obi-Wan Kenobi in my ear, basically, or in y'all's ear, talking about all things Georgia recruiting. But I thought, in the spirit of Easter, let's drop our first DawgNation Before the Hedges Easter egg ever. And right there, you know, like, remember when people used to have this thing called DVDs and Blu-rays? There would be Easter eggs hidden in the bonus materials or the bonus commentary on the track. I'm going to show you this lovely animal right here. I believe it's a toy Aussie Doodle. And we are going to have, her name is Mabel, and Mabel will be an Easter egg in our show tonight. So if you guys watch along, you pay attention, you're going to think, why in the world is this man Sentell, after all these years, giving us the cutest, really stinking cute. I was like, when I saw this picture, I had to make sure I referenced the true Southern term for this. This picture right here is absolutely precious. It will be a part of our show. You're going to see it. When you do see it, maybe just randomly, you know, comment like Easter egg or whatever, and you're going to be like, holy cow, that might be the most stinking cute Georgia picture ever. But that's what we got. That's our quick start to tonight's show. Now's the time where we roll into we're going to go summon our Barry White voice, maybe our deep voice. We're going to call it the Big Five. We start out with number one out of the gate, and let's talk about all things Matt Zollers. I don't think the decision is kind of made right now. I don't. The one thing I was telling Kaylee about is this is a guy that I don't know whether I like it. It's just really refreshing. I think Zollers, every time I think about a recruit, you know, and they're telling me like it's a burden, this is so hard to pick, this is yada, yada, yada. Sounds like a Seinfeld episode. But for me, Zollers has made this refreshingly easy. Like, should he choose either Missouri or the Dawgs, he would have done basically 2 visits. He would have went through the recruiting process for maybe 2 to 3 months at the most. He just took a visit to Georgia the last day. He saw Alabama a little bit. He went through his top 4, and he's good. That's enough for him to make his decision. He told me back in February that he was going to basically be down to 4 schools. He's going to go visit them all after he gets through draining 3-pointers during the state basketball playoffs, and then he was going to go see a bunch of schools in about 10 days, and then he's going to make his decision, and then he's going to take his one official visit to the school that he chooses. And there's a lot of juice here about Georgia and Missouri. And the schools he's been to the most was Penn State and Pitt. Here's some ironies about this recruitment. As you see, Zollers just making plays after plays. I think the mobility, the improvisation is the thing that really stands out for the Georgia staff here with Zollers. But think about this for a second. Penn State, home state school, already has a quarterback commitment in the class. He's a 3-star. Same thing for Pitt, where his brother is a walk-on wide receiver. They already have a 3-star quarterback in this class. And, you know, for a 4-star like Zollers to go over a 3-star, you can have that type of 2-quarterback rotation, 2-quarterback class. But that's not what we're hearing from Georgia. I don't think Georgia has ever told, like, Ryan Montgomery or Zollers or Julian Juju Lewis anything about a 2-quarterback class, at least according to my information. And then you've got Mizzou kind of here as kind of the wild card. And I say this really as a wild card because I don't know what our show would be like. I don't even want to think about it. But the Mizzou Tigers, if there was somebody doing a show called Before Faro Field or Before Mizzou or whatever, they would currently have 0 commitments to talk about. They have 0. It is April the 3rd, y'all, and Missouri has 0 commitments. Matt Zollers at about 3:17 tomorrow might be there first, or he might choose Georgia, which would send some quarterback dominoes going with what happens with Ryan Montgomery and South Carolina or Florida, what happens with Julian Juju Lewis and USC, who just took another return visit back to USC over the weekend. I think this will either simplify Georgia's quarterback equation for 2025 or it will exaggerate the quarterback equation because it would definitely complicate things a lot. It would be a lot more complex. But again, I don't know how you guys would be, but if we were here on April the 3rd broadcasting the show, you would be more animated about the Dawgs with 0 commitments in the class, maybe even than this orange Sharpie pen here I found on Brandon's workstation right here. I mean, orange, folks. There's a good reason for that. There's a very good reason for that. But this is not what we're talking about on our show tonight. But Matt Zollers, Georgia, Missouri, feels like one of those two. I think this is a thing where Matt's came home tonight from school, is going to sit down with his parents, chop it up, let people know tomorrow, let people know tonight. And then you'll have it. You have the chance for Georgia to go 2 for 2 in terms of commitments for this week, may or may not. I think Zollers, you look at him, he's the number 10 quarterback in the country for 24/7 Sports Composite. He's the number 5 quarterback in the country and number 49 overall for the On3 industry ranking standard. Let me make sure I get that verbiage right. But he's a really good quarterback, 6'3 plus, very mobile. And he would bring a lot of unique things to Georgia should he choose the Dawgs. And we'll see tomorrow at really in like northern Philadelphia, metro Philadelphia type area at Springford High School. That one will be streaming, I believe, on the school's athletic social channel right there. So all things Matt Zollers. Let me know in the comments section, what do you think? Do you feel good? Do you want Jeff to be a little less vague, a little more descriptive about what he thinks is going on there with Zollers? If there will be hollers for Zollers at 3:15 p.m. tomorrow. That's what we'll be talking about. You've got all those things, Matt Zollers, very intriguing. But what it does is it certainly revs up Georgia's chances to start boosting that recruiting class that I believe, and Miss Mansell even was like, hold on, are we sure about this? Like, for real, Clark? She had to make sure that the Georgia number 17 recruiting ranking in the country right now was accurate. And indeed it is, which is really strange times. Number 2 on our Before the Hedges, brought to you by Kroger program tonight. We've got another decision coming. It will come at 9 a.m. on Friday morning. DawgNation will actually, the plan is right now for DawgNation to actually be at Evans High School. It would be kind of like somewhat my old stomping grounds when I used to be a Cub reporter at the Augusta Chronicle. I lived maybe a John Daly, prime John Daly driver off the tee away from Evans High School off Bel Air Road. But Mason Short, former Alabama commitment, will be making his decision. It's Clemson, it's Georgia, it's Kentucky, I believe it's Ohio State. Those are the 4 schools there in his Final 4. Really feels like a Final 2 there. What's the deal with Short? Do you want to go long on all things Mason Short? Well, I had a chance to chat earlier this week with Evans High School coach Barrett Davis about Mason, what he brings to the table, how he would help Georgia. Really popular misconception I was able to shoot down. A lot of people had the idea that Mason would probably be still committed to Alabama if Nick Saban was still the head coach, and he very well might. But the relationship there, if we look at the timeline and what actually happened, was that Mason waited until the offensive line coach at Alabama, everybody calls him Eric Wolford, he actually now is at Kentucky. And Mason waited until his O-line coach and that really primary relationship there at Alabama was no longer in place before he opened up his decision. You want to learn a lot about Mason Short? Let's do so right now on Before the Hedges, brought to you by Kroger. As we're seeing right there, Mason Short's committing on Friday at 9 a.m.
So I think it was kind of an easier process this time because he's seen every bell and whistle at every program. So, I mean, I think at first, I remember his first offer was, he got some Georgia Southerns and places like that. But I remember when Louisville called him to offer him, and the coach said he was going to call him. Mason's like, I don't know what to say. I've never talked to a college coach before. So I remember him doing that as a 9th grader and just seeing how he's grown now. So, but yeah, I think he's been on all these. He's been on all these visits. He's done all these things. He's got a very good tight inner circle with a couple coaches, his parents, and a couple mentors out there that have guided him in the right direction, I think. And, he knows what he's looking for, and I think he's just ready to focus on that next process of just play his senior season and have a good one and then move on to the next thing in January.
Can he enroll? He can graduate early and enroll out of Evans, I guess.
Correct. I think he's going to early enroll in January. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What are the weight room numbers, Coach? You got a good sense of where he's at right now with his lifts?
Yeah, he was bench. He was right around 385, 390. And then trying to think, power clean was around 275. And then squat was somewhere around the 415 mark. And we make sure you go parallel. Like your butt's gonna go down and touch the crate. So for a kid 6'6" to get that low is, you know, a little tougher. But that's where he's at with those three. Well, I think he's always just played with his paths. You know, he's a good Christian kid who's always tried to do things the right way, and he's vocal when he needs to be. And I think that's the main thing that sticks out about him. You know, I think he's a good God-fearing kid that was raised the right way, and he'll work hard and he tries to be dependable. And you know, I think that's what a college is going to get out of him. And you know, when you got your faith first and you got family second, and you know, football's the 3 F's, you got them all together. You can, with his size, you know, you can reach some good heights with that. So he's got his head on straight, I think.
6'5", 305. Is that about right? Where is he at right now, height and weight?
He's. I mean, last time I measured him, he was right at 6'6", and he's about 305, 310.
Was it the day that he decommitted? Like the next day, Kirby landed the plane off Bel Air Road. Is that right? Was that the timing, or is it off a little bit?
It was a couple of days after. It wasn't right away, but it was very close. I can tell you that. There was, I think when he decommitted, it was within 4 or 5 days probably that Coach Smart came down, and him and Coach Bobo came, and Coach Searles came, and Dabo came, and so it was. And Coach DeBoer from Alabama came the next week, so it was a busy couple of weeks after that.
Coach, why does all these schools want him? Like when Georgia and Searles and Kirby tell you about what they like about Mason, what is it?
Well, I think as he's progressed through his high school year, you know, he's had these offers since the end of his 9th grade year, going into the 10th pretty much. But I mean, the kid, obviously size, he's got that. He's got strength. He's got good weight room numbers. But he's real limber. He's got very good footwork. You know, so that's something that sticks out on film. And then, you know, he's always been good at pass protection. And then I think over the past 15 months, he's gotten better with his run game. So I think he's gotten better on finishing blocks and things like that. I think he's gotten better at his down blocks. I think he's gotten better. You know, he's always been pretty good at reach blocks because he's been able to get on the edge pretty good with his feet. But I think he's just been able to finish blocks and see things through and make it through a whole season healthy. And, you know, he was able to do those things this year.
All right, guys, we're back. That was pretty cool. Listen to all things Mason Short right there. He's one of those kids that he got most of his offers 9th grade, 10th grade year. I remember going to see him down for the Knights. Really massive guy. At one point, he was actually a 5-star in this class, and his ranking is kind of, you know, dimmed a little bit to maybe top 150, top 200 prospect, but still a ginormous recruit, 6'6 plus, 305 pounds. You heard those what his weight maxes were right now. It's a pretty strong young man. And there's a crazy video I believe I saw of him on one of his social media channels. I think it was his Instagram. And he's like walking through the woods with like this huge Paul Bunyan timber type thing. And he's doing squats with it. He's doing like incline presses with it. He's doing it, you know, in front of his neck, behind his neck. And he's really kind of looking like the brawny paper towel or like a lumberjack guy there as well. Interesting to know that he basically just decided recently that he was ready to get this stuff over with. He's really not one of those young men that's all about the fluff of the college recruiting experience. And, you know, if you asked him, there were some media reports out there about about a week ago that he was going to take this thing to June. And coincidentally, just over the last maybe 6, 7, 8 days, he decided, nope, he's ready to do it right now. He'll do it from the auditorium there at Evans High School about 9 o'clock on Friday morning. So that will be interesting for us to pay attention to as well. I said earlier in our show that we plan on being there to check out Mason's announcement. The other thing that I think is kind of interesting there with Mason is he's a guy that, you look at him and you think, because he did spend some time over the past week at Georgia practices, and then he certainly made the move now to make his decision. What does the timing look like there? Are some CSI sleuths going to pop the hood on that recruiting process and think that certainly sounds like Georgia's in a good spot right there? But as I've said before, Georgia and Clemson are going to go head-to-head for a lot of recruits. I think Mason Short is just one of maybe 4 or 5 that the Dogs will have beef with the Tigers in the 2025 recruiting cycle, especially this summer before those two teams face off in September at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So got some commitment watches. We've talked about Mason Short. We've talked about Matt Zollers as well. Those are kind of the two names on everybody's mind right now in Georgia recruiting, is maybe they could take that commitment total up from 5 to 6 or to 7 in about, roughly, 48 to, 52, 56 hours, something like that. That was number 2 on our big 5 that we show off each and every week on DawgNation's Before the Hedges. Have you guys seen the Easter egg yet? Is the Easter egg coming? This is the part of our Before the Hedges show where, like I always try right around now to insert some feel good, to insert some laughter, to insert some happiness into our show, into our program each and every week. And, like I said earlier in our open, in our quick 5, I was like, it has been too long since we had one of our Dog of the Week honors, and we got Dog of the Week honors back today, baby. And this is something you guys might learn a little bit about how the NFL, I think, seems to have gotten this one right. Our Dog of the Week this week is a DGD of all time. We're talking about 2021 national champion. We're talking about 2022 6th-round NFL draft pick of the Los Angeles Chargers. And there's something the NFL did this week for Dog of the Week stuff. And look at Miss Mansell with the great graphic. She has a great experience last year with Jamari as part of the Galvanize program. And you see right there, Jamari, there's a thing the NFL does now where it's kind of like a pay enhancement scale. And, man, I wish we had this for a lot of our employees at DawgNation. But what they do is the NFL takes a look at your rookie contract, and if you're outplaying your rookie contract, you get some performance-based additional pay. And how would you like to just be working your job this week and you go, hey, you know what? Your boss comes by and said, you know what? You have clearly overachieved for what we hired you for. You see there, Jamari was a 6th-round pick. It was very much a crime that he fell that far. We've documented the reason why several times on DawgNation.com and also on this show. But he's already got 31 career starts as a 6th-round pick in 2 seasons for the Los Angeles Chargers. He's been a tackle. He's been a left tackle. He's been a guard. And he's definitely kept Justin Herbert upright when perhaps maybe he shouldn't have been kept upright considering where he was drafted. But you see him, he earned an additional, it's an incentive-based type deal, this program. I think Jamari got the 6th or 7th highest additional monies for how he was outperforming his rookie contract. He got an additional $840,282. That's amazing. That is amazing. And, it couldn't happen to a nicer dog, a greater dude. I've known Jamari and his family and his mother for many years. His father, his younger brother, all that stuff. These are great, incredible people. That's why he went on to have a great career at Georgia. He will do the same in the NFL. I hope he plays 10 more years. I hope he finally gets a contract where he doesn't need that additional pay. But all things Jamari, you love to see good things happen to good people. He's going to be a great human being when football is over with and all the air's out of the football. And, I'd love to make sure we recognize Jamari just being Jamari. And like you said, I'm going to call on our Obi-Wan Kenobi here of our DawgNation Before the Hedges, and I'm going to ask Kaylee to just basically share what went through your mind when you heard this about Jamari Sawyer.
Okay, so I spent a few days with the Los Angeles Chargers, and by random chance, I ended up getting paired with a DGD, Jamari Sawyer. And part of the exercise was that I got to talk to Jamari for 20 minutes, and then I had to give him a 1-minute introduction to his fellow rookies. Well, for the first time in Galvanized history, we had extra time at the end of the exercise, and they asked if any rookie in the room was comfortable sharing something about their reporter, and Jamari raised his hand so quick. You should have seen those spidey sense reflexes, and he gave a 1-minute speech about me, and it was awesome, and we are still friends to this day.
Awesome story. Love that story. Jamari, everybody's got a Jamari story like that. I remember being at his draft party when he thought he was going to be drafted on day 2, and he thought he was going deep into day 3, went all the way to the 6th round. Kirby Smart got on the phone, was texting for him, went to bat for him, and said, this guy's a warrior, this guy's everything. You know, we don't put out better players and better people combinations than Jamari Salyer. He's done everything he needed to do at the SEC. And he was finally drafted. But before that, the young man, I remember him going around talking to members of his family, basically hat in hand, very sympathetic, kind of apologizing that they had to wait around long enough or longer than expected to see him drafted when it was his day and everybody was there to celebrate Jamari. He's just an amazing kid, amazing young man now. Wish nothing but the best of this life for Jamari. And, you know, our Dog of the Week honor this week is, again, it's just great things happening to even greater people. So shout out to Jamari. Glad to see the NFL is doing something like this, which would reward rookies that are outperforming their draft status and where they were selected in the NFL draft. So really awesome, really awesome stuff to see there. Excuse me. Now, that was number 3. That was as feel good as it gets. But right now, everybody knows the story from last week. Jared Curtis, the 5-star quarterback, the number 1 quarterback in the 2026 class, committed to Georgia. It was a little bit of a surprise, but I got to go up to Nashville last week and see him, hang out with him, got to talk to his family, got to talk to his inner circle. And one of the things about the story, and I think you'll see it on DawgNation.com as well, but it's a story of kind of how his mother and, you know, his mother was probably, she was one of those that she did not want to influence her son's decision. So she kind of subliminally went about it. She did not grow up a Georgia fan. She did not, have any sort of ties to the University of Georgia, but she just wanted to see her son Jared at Georgia. I'm not going to give away a lot of the stuff in this package because it is really good stuff. You want to know why the mother of a 5-star in Tennessee wanted her son to choose Georgia and to choose Georgia in April of his junior year? Well, that's what we do here on Before the Hedges, brought to you by Kroger. Let's run it right now, and I want you to get to meet Barbara Whittington-Curtis, the mother of 5-star quarterback Jared Curtis.
So we were supposed to go, today, we were supposed to be in Bama. And then tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, we were supposed to be at Auburn. And then Sunday, we were going to be traveling to OSU and be there for Monday. And then we were going to be, the next 2 following weekends, we were going to be, Texas and Oklahoma. And then be back in time for the Under Armour camp that Sunday. But we have canceled everything. So we're just going to be at Georgia on the 13th, and then we'll be back for the Under Armour camp. I think it's the 14th. I've always loved Georgia, but I've never tried to influence Jared one way or the other. I just always try to, help guide, just point out the obvious, So it's ultimately his decision, but at the same time we realize he's just a child. So I feel like as parents, our job is to kind of guide. So I never wanted to – I love Georgia, but I never wanted to say, you need to go to school at Georgia,
I gotta ask one follow-up on that. So had you always kind of privately wanted him to choose Georgia? Was that the only place you wanted him to go? You sounded like very gleeful whenever you talked about Georgia. Was that the one that you didn't want to let him know that, but that was the one you were favoring?
Oh, for sure. 100%. I don't know. I just felt like that he would fit in really and do really well at Georgia. That was just my mother's intuition. Georgia has always kind of, I hate to say that, but I was very high on Georgia from day one. From day one when he went to the Kirby Smart camp in the 8th grade, Wow.
What made you so high on Georgia? What do you like best about it? What sticks out there?
Okay, so when I was watching one of the practices, And Coach Kirby or Coach Smart was on the mic. This was like whenever we first started coming. I just watched those young men, those players, interact with Coach Smart and all of the other coaches, and just the respect that they had for one another. Coach first player, player versus coach, and that just really stood out to me. I could just tell, like, it was, I like to say home away from home because it had that feel. Just watching that interaction.
So it wasn't just the winning or the NFL or the championships or the campus. It was the vibe you got, the player-coach interaction, the relationship. It felt real there to you?
Absolutely, for sure.
Wow. Was that like his first really, really big one?
No, it wasn't. I think it was just because I really liked Georgia.
Yeah.
And so whenever he got that offer, I was just so excited for him. A lot of people don't realize the sacrifice that these kids make day in and day out. They don't, on top of schoolwork, they're training, they're taking ice baths, they're in the cryo chamber, like massage tape. Like Jared, after he works out, he comes home and he's still working. He's in the garage working out, or he's throwing to a net. He was just very determined early on that he just wanted to be, the best version of himself, and he's worked and he will continue to work to do that.
I think that's a unique point.
Yeah, I think it was just unique. It was just Georgia. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. It's just crazy. How like you just know. It's just like when you know. I don't know. I just had from day one. So it was just overwhelming to me that opportunity arose for him, and I was just so beyond happy for him. And anyways, it was just overpowering to me, so because it does take, like I said, it takes a lot of work, a lot of dedication, a lot of sacrifices. Your friends are going to do, go to the movies, or going to hang out at Sonic, or they're going, they're going off places, and you're not. You're working. You're training, you're lifting, you're rehabbing your body. You're watching. Last Sunday night when we come home from Georgia, he had some theater homework, and he calls me in there to help him. And I thought, oh, okay, we're going to go over some theater stuff here. And no, it was plays. So he's like always working on a whiteboard. Trying to just get better, and
you wanted kind of all along privately, but was never in your mama's heart going to really let him know.
That's exactly right. Although I think that he could kind of tell, because I was the only school that I had gear for.
Really?
Yeah. Well, like I would have Georgia earrings and like a Georgia shirt. But I tried never to wear it to like when we went to on campus. Like I wore my Georgia earrings, but I would like wear a red shirt or something like that. Like other schools will give you, or hold on, I don't know if I'm supposed to say that or not. But like
they let you wear gear while you're on your visit. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But anyways, so Georgia just hit different.
So would you wear them like around Nashville, or when would you wear the Georgia gear? Like a year before you committed, like last fall? Is that when you wear the gear?
Oh yeah, I would wear it like like to just out in town, just at home, like just different places. A lot of people would be like, I think Jared's going to end up going to Georgia, and I'd be like, I don't know where he's going to go, because probably I would wear Georgia stuff.
Wow. Subliminally. That was what you did.
Yeah, exactly.
There you have it, guys. And I know you guys. I'm in the comment section. I'm checking it out like everybody. And they're like, oh, wait till NIL, or wait till these kids change their minds. Well, that's all well and good. NIL is a very powerful factor these days. But so is a mother that wants her son to be a Bulldog. Did you hear how Barbara Whittington-Curtis, she kind of just wore earrings. She wore Georgia gear. She never brought it up to her son, but she subliminally kind of was wearing Georgia gear. That was the only school she had with gear. And I remember, this is a great story. I hope you kind of heard that in that interview. But like Todd Monken offered her son to begin with, and she cried for like 2 days straight. I don't think that's an exaggeration. I know it sounds good to put that into a story, but she was literally offer rocker, so happy that Georgia offered her son because they'd already been there when he was in the 8th grade, 9th grade for a Kirby Smart camp. So she knew full well what that meant. And that was the only school she had cried for 2 days for. She said Georgia just hits different. I mean, if that's a lady that's probably going to be near and dear to DawgNation's heart, already maybe earning that dog ma status in terms of how much she already loves the Dogs and loves the thought of her son Jared being a Dawg. I thought it was interesting how he's going to go enroll early. I know a lot of you guys have saw the pictures a couple times now on DawgNation or some of our streaming programs, and you've noticed his hair and how he looks like he's got some of that Stetson Bennett hair. He loves football. He loves family. He loves riding four-wheelers. But he had visits scheduled to go see Ohio State, go see Alabama, go see Texas, go see a bunch of schools. And then when he committed, that's it. That was it. Mom could start wearing her gear. Mom could start calling the Dogs or whatever. She could start letting her true feelings come out. And they'll be back in Athens on G-Day on April 13th. That's the plan. So if you see Barbara, Jared, and their family, I don't know if you'll see the Easter egg in there. Let's flash back the Easter egg. I want to make sure that Too Stinking Cute in our program really gets her proper airtime. But this is Mabel. This is Barbara's. This is their toy Australian Doodle. They did not put the dog into the Georgia gear until Jared had committed. That would have been really subliminal, right? Having the dog walking around in the Georgia gear. Folks, these guys are from Nashville. There is no connection. There's no alumni. There's no, went to college, none of that stuff. His mother used to play softball, but Jared is totally a football dude. He drives like 40 minutes each way to go to school. They live kind of out in the country, not really Nashville metro. And I just think that was a really good story. Again, it's part of those things that make you smile, how this program, this university, this coaching staff can inspire those feelings in the 5-star quarterback prospect in the 2026 cycle, now the number 1 quarterback prospect as well. So that right there, I'm sure our cuteness level is off the charts. All you wonderful Southern ladies and Southern gentlemen, you probably saw that picture for the first time like I did, and you heard your grandmother or your auntie saying so precious is a way to describe Mabel in her Georgia gear and her bow in her hair and everything else. It looked like she just came back from the groomer or whatever. But I thought that was hilarious. I thought that was a great story with the mother of a Georgia 5-star football commit, and why she was ready to why the family was ready. The stability there with Bobo, the stability there with Kirby Smart, recruits everywhere. Contrary to what people thought when there was like this rogue social media post this week on April Fools about Mike Bobo taking the job at Alabama and leaving Georgia, got a lot of folks worried. I had some multiple texts from folks about that. They got by that a little bit about Coach Bobo potentially April Fool's joke leaving for Alabama and leaving Georgia. But stability is huge. That's what you hear a lot now with Georgia. They've finally got a quarterback piece like Carson Beck that they can sell to guys like Matt Zollers and Jared Curtis. And they've got the development. They've got all the winning. But now they've got a piece like Carson to say, hey, that's a future first-round draft pick, maybe a top 3, maybe the number 1 overall draft pick quarterback in the 2025 NFL draft after a prolific 2024 season. And so you see a lot of those things now with a guy like, what Carson's able to bring to the table. And the main thing, Zollers has even told me that himself, this is the main thing about Georgia. It's not all the winning. He doesn't care about NIL. All he cares about is the stability to go into school with the confidence, knowing that he will have the same offensive coordinator and the same head coach for the majority, the bulk, even the totality of his college football career. So stability, especially at the OC spot and the head coaching spot, really means a lot to recruits these days. That was your 4th element on Before the Hedges, brought to you by Kroger. I bet some of you guys found the Easter egg. The Easter egg was Mabel. Let's hit it with number 5 right now. Really cool interview here. Really like this family. Really like everything this young man stands for. basketball player. He comes from a family of 1,000-point scorers, several 1,000-point basketball scorers in his family. He tells me his recruiting is shut down. He loves Georgia, all things Georgia. So Stephon Shivers, folks, don't look at that 3-star stuff whatsoever. A player like Stephon Shivers is as integral as anybody Georgia will sign in this class, considering the way the Dogs get down on defense, and they need that guy in the middle to absorb blocks, have those all-world linebackers roam free. You want to know what Stephon Shivers is all about? Let's take a listen right now. Our DawgNation conversation with a very big commitment in the class. Let's learn about Stephon Shivers right now.
Feel like to be committed to Georgia, man? It's been almost a week now, right? It's been a week tomorrow, right?
Yes, sir.
What does it feel like week one as a Dawg?
It just feels great. It's a great feeling. It's a great feeling.
Did you, I know you spent a lot of time in Athens this week, a couple of days. What were your big takeaways from that?
Me basically going to my new home to see what I'd be doing, what I'd be practicing, like how the movement that I'd be doing. It was a good experience.
Did you probably get a chance to connect with Coach Scott? Was your relationship already really good with Coach Scott?
Yeah, it's been good since we first met.
Really?
Yes, sir.
The first time he saw you, what did he say?
I got to have him.
Is that what he said?
Yes, sir.
And he's recruited you to win you, all right?
Yes, sir.
If I'd told you a month ago you're going to be committed to Georgia right now, what would you have said?
No way.
Why?
I couldn't see myself doing it. It's a surprise to me.
What happened within that month then, man?
It just felt like home, and they developed players. Like, they took Jordan Davis as a 3-star. Now he in the league for the Eagles. It's just self-explanatory.
So you just woke up one day and you're like, man, what am I waiting on? Or was there a conversation you had with somebody that made you think, I'm going to go ahead and make this move?
Just talking to the coaches, like, the way they want me there and the things that they have done with other people, I can picture myself in that position.
Stephon, football is rough. It's a game of violence. I mean, especially for big guys when coach says go to the line and you got to run gassers and you're like, man, you look up at the sky on a hot day and you're like, why do I do this? For you, what is your why? Like, why do you play this great game?
I just want to make a name for myself and, make my family proud and let the younger generation know that there's a way in the streets to get out of this.
1,000-point scorer in basketball. I bet if we filed up everybody that scored their 1,000th point this year in high school basketball, probably not too many 355-pounders, right? How do you get it done on the paint and on the court? And how does it help you play football?
It helped me play football with my footwork and agility, and just get it done. Like, right under the basket, you got to score.
Most of your points come in the paint?
Yes, and off free throws.
Does anybody try to foul you?
Yes, a lot.
And what kind of free throw shooter are you? Better than Shaq? What do you like at the line?
Yeah, I'm better than Shaq.
Do you have more fun in football or basketball, or is it about the same?
I have more fun in, I say, basketball.
Why?
I love basketball more than I do football. It's just running my family.
What's the plan about how Coach Scott tells you they want to use you?
They want to use me as a 0 and a 3. And he was just like, let's get it done in 3.
What was your impression of the Georgia practices? You got to see them up close, right?
Yes, sir.
What did it feel like watching that, knowing that's going to be you in a year?
It felt good, actually. It felt good. I like the way the tempo is.
You think about all the reasons why you chose Georgia. What's the best reason? What's the biggest reason why you're a Dawg today?
I like the way the coaching style is, and I just like how they develop you on and off the field, and they got a plan for you just in case football don't work. Because football has to end one day.
What do you want to be when football's over?
I'm going to go into the law enforcement area.
Do you?
Yeah.
What do you want to be, like an FBI agent, criminal justice major? What do you want to do?
That I don't know yet. I'm still doing research.
You'd be a bounty hunter or something like that. That'd be something. Why did you decide to make your decision? Was it a special day in your family, like last Friday? Like, why did you decide to do it then?
Because on my senior year, I want to be focused on straight football and just me. I don't want to have to worry about going here and there and all this. So I'm going to end up shutting my recruitment down.
Is it shut down?
Yes.
Wow. No more visits? No more seeing other schools? Have you know when you're going to take your Georgia official visit yet?
June the 14th.
Oh, wow. Do you have a message for the fans out there? A message for all Georgia fans? They watch your tape. They get excited about watching you run the football. What's your message for all of them about this new player they're getting from Humboldt, Tennessee?
Just be ready for me to come to DawgNation. You're going to see it.
Do you have any more touchdowns than that one, or is that the only one last year in rushing?
I have actually 4 more. And then I got 2. Well, they had 2-point conversions.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Nobody tackled you, huh, right? What do the other teams say after a play like that or after a game?
Most just try to move out the way and then just laugh.
Everybody tries to cut you, I bet, right?
Yeah.
What's the most points you've scored ever in a basketball game?
28.
28? What do you do besides football, man, and basketball? You got to be a kid sometimes when you're relaxing, when you're just being a kid, man, because you're just 16, right?
Yes, sir.
You turn 17 when?
September the 29th.
So you got a ways. You're going to be a young 17. What do you do when you're on Stephon time? What do you do for fun?
I may go to the movies or something, or just go chill, watch TikTok.
You have a favorite movie you've watched recently? It doesn't have to be the best of all time that you like, but what's one that you really watched recently that you like?
I like Fast and Furious movies.
Do you?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Who's your favorite character in that? Is it Dom? Or is it, he's a big guy like you, right? Stephon, what was it like when you told somebody at Georgia that you were going to commit? Did you commit to Coach Scott, or who'd you commit to?
I had committed to Coach Scott. Then he delivered the message to Coach Smart.
How was Coach Scott? Was he pretty happy?
Fired up.
What was Coach Kirby like? I think I saw a picture of him that you shared, and he's looking at you like, eyes all wide. What did you guys talk about this week?
We talked about the academic side. Then we talked about, can I handle coming to Georgia? Georgia it's a big step. It's not a small school. I was telling him, yeah, I'm ready to do it.
Does it feel good to have all this over with?
Yes.
It was getting crazy, right?
Now I know when I'm going to start in Georgia, it's time to get to work.
Will you be able to graduate in January? Or graduate in December and go to Georgia in January?
Yeah, I start practicing in December.
Oh, wow. When you play for your high school, how do they use you? Are you a 3? Are you a 0? Are you shade? Like, what do you play for them?
On my high school, I mostly played nose and a little bit of shade, but I'm everywhere on my high school team.
How many carries did you get last year?
At least 8.
At least 8? How many times were you tackled on those 8 carries? Twice. So the other 6 were either touchdowns or 2-point conversions, right?
Yes.
Wow. Stephon Shivers here in Tennessee. He's rocking the Power G. Just got back from 2 days in Athens. Man, we appreciate your time.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, guys. A couple things you maybe not know about Stephon. Like I said, family full of basketball players. He visits Georgia last June, and really it was done from then. Like, the family loved all things Georgia. They loved Trey Scott. Trey Scott was like, I got to have you. The way he moves, guys, if you're going to look at the film, of course, there's sometimes when he's coming off high, he's going to get coached up. That'll be fixed. But the fact that he's just 16 years old, guys. He will not turn 17 until September, and 1,000 points in high school basketball is actually more than that, probably like 1,100. His father is an assistant coach on the basketball team, Stephon Shivers. Really great dude. Got a chance to talk to him recently. And Stephon probably has like 800, 900 rebounds as well. He was the region tournament, district tournament MVP. He made all district. He made all region. He shot a little bit better from the free throw line than Shaq. Like he mentioned, he was about 60%. We got a ton of stuff to share with you guys about Stephon Shivers. Really great story. And like I said, there won't be 5 members of this recruiting class that if Stephon Shivers does what Trey Scott thinks he can do, that will be more important to Georgia winning big things and big rings, winning those games in December and January, than what Stephon brings to the table. How integral that nose, that shade nose does, soaking up blocks, resetting line of scrimmage, just being really tough to deal with in terms of the Georgia defensive front. Stephon Shivers did bring up like what Trey Scott has done with like guys like Jordan Davis, getting them in the league, and that's the path he wants to be on there. Like to wear maybe number 77 or number 99 in Athens. He told me just really good stuff there. Stephon Shivers, that's number 5 of our big 5. And, I mean, with Stephon inside the big 5 this week, it probably feels like a big 8 or big 9 because that is one massive, big young man. I think he's got size 16 shoes, so loves him some basketball, grew up playing basketball, but now he's going to be a trench monster for Travion Scott and the Dogs. Guys, that was your big 5. We got question of the week, I believe, this week. Question of the week. It's one of our parts where we get you guys talking Everybody wants to know about Zollers. I kind of shared what I thought about Zollers, how it's a very unique recruitment. Doesn't need a lot of the drama, the pomp and circumstance. He's been very methodical. He's kind of convinced me that it's still possible for a big-time recruit, even a quarterback recruit, to go through this process very swiftly, not make it over dramatic with too much drama, and really kind of feel like he's just very smooth with all this stuff. The question of the week this week, as I said earlier, we're only 10 days away from G-Day. What are you most looking forward to seeing at G-Day in 10 days? Is it one of those freshman phenoms? Is it how Gunner looks running the twos? Is it Oscar Delp moving to the man at tight end? Is it wanting to see how much better Damon Wilson is, how much better C.J. Allen is, how much better K.J. Bolden looks back there, what those new safeties like Justin Rhett and obviously K.J. Bolden, but Justin Rhett, Chris Peel, Kyron Jones, Janelle Aguero, those guys like that, Daniel Harris at corner, lots of options. I've given you literally a buffet of ones to choose. I want to know what you guys think. I want to know which one thing are you looking most forward to seeing at G-Day? Are you looking forward to seeing the new temporary press box and how they're changing the new enhancements to Sanford Stadium? Are you looking for new menu items, or you just can't wait to get it back to the bookstore and drop a couple $100, $300 or $400 or $500? Let us know in the comments section below about what you're most looking forward to at G-Day in 10 days. And, hey, this wouldn't be question of the week if I didn't tee one of these up for Kaylee in the studio. Kaylee, I'm not putting you on the spot. You got shows. You got all this stuff. What are you most looking forward to for G-Day in 10 days?
If you would have asked me a week ago, my answer may have been different, but after watching last week's episode of Before the Hedges, brought to you by Kroger, I am actually most looking forward to seeing Chris Cole. With Smile Munden out, I think that's going to give him an opportunity to really showcase his skill set, and I think that he is going to be a budding star for the Dogs.
So what was your answer a week ago? If we had to go back in time and find your previous answer, what was your previous answer?
Probably Gunner Stockton, just to see how much progress he's made since the Orange Bowl, and there has been some hype around him this last week. So I'm still really excited to see what Gunner Stockton can do. But after listening to your show last week, my mind has been changed.
Good thing for Chris. Chris, I don't know if we've shared this on the show, but he recently picked up the Everett Watkins Award, which is an award that goes to an excellent African-American, Black American high school football player. It's the one that Nakobe Dean wore. It takes into account a lot of philanthropy, a lot of on the field, a lot of academics. There's a rigorous interview process. And really what that means is, you could call it, for DawgNation to understand, you can call it the Nakobe Dean Award, basically because Chris Cole epitomizes all those great things that we saw for 3 seasons with Nakobe Dean in Athens. He's got kind of that same juice to his career, both on the field and off the field. You guys remember how Nakobe Dean wanted to be an engineer, and that's kind of one of the reasons why he chose Georgia, the reason why he drove past Tuscaloosa from Mississippi to get to Athens. Well, Chris Cole wants to be a doctor one day. Every time I see him, I kind of called him Dr. Cole. He's been on Before the Hedges before, and he also, I believe, only made 1B in high school as well, so the grades and academics there are top-notch. And I'm glad you mentioned Connor as well, Kaylee, because Connor, let me give him a quick shout-out. Not only did he just recently turn 30 and look very studious and smooth in doing it on his Instagram feed, but he's got a story right now in Gunner Stockton. You cannot not like Gunner Stockton. His whole family, wonderful people. He's got a story right now talking about Gunner Stockton, and he teases it. Gunner Stockton most likely to be Georgia's backup quarterback. Gunner Stockton most likely to have Brett Thorson over for Christmas. They've actually hosted the Thorsons for several years. I've been hearing about that story for a while, but Gunner Stockton is also the most likely Georgia player that teammates would be okay with dating their sister, and it's pretty accurate. Gunner can do a lot of things. He can survive in the outdoors. He can catch fish. He can water ski. He can probably do a backflip off his back porch. He can throw the football. He can run between the tackles. He can put up points, and he can make great plays off broken plays. So Gunner's obviously, I think a lot of people want to see what Gunner looks like and see the growth he's had, and maybe they want to start seeing the growth in Gunner that people saw with the growth in Carson when he was kind of getting all those number 2 reps as well. So pretty cool stuff there. Guys, that has been all the Big Five. That's your question of the week. You guys want to know about top targets. You want to know, hey, where's that Julian Lewis fellow? Where's that Matt Zollers fellow? Where's that Mason Short fellow? Who else is new into the week? Some South Georgia viewers are going to be happy with a new name that pops back up onto our top targets list. Let's check it out right now on Before the Hedges, brought to you by Kroger. But before we get to top targets, we got to break down this class. Currently, only 5 men deep. You got Bo Walker. Bo Walker very close to Dell McGee during his recruitment there. Dell McGee is now the head coach at Georgia State. Bo Walker, that's one of the things Coach Crawford's got to do. He's got to reconnect, continue to build a great relationship with Bo Walker. You got Elias Williams. You got Ethan Barbour. Those are your offensive commitments. There are only 3. And then flip over to the defensive side of the ball. Stephon Shivers, again, the really cool nickname that some of his family members and circle give him. They call him Stephon Worldwide Shivers. And you got 5-star Jaden Perlotti there as well. Georgia only with 2 commits on the defensive side of the ball. No 5 stars. The Justice J. Terry flip was real. Will be great to see what Justice has to say about his recruiting process after he gets back from his visit for G-Day, I believe. Georgia with 5 commits, 17 class ranked nationally. That is crazy. Behind schools like Texas Tech, Wisconsin, Baylor. You just don't see that. 1 out-of-state commitment, that is Stephon Shivers in the 2025 class. Shivers, excuse me. They got 4 in-state commitments. You look there, you got 5 commits in the SEC footprint. Georgia still has the most commits. The Peach State reigns supreme there. They've got 3 offensive players in the class and 3 offensive players among the 10 highest-rated commitments. Not that very hard to do when you only have 5 commitments at this time. This time next year, what do you guys think? Do you guys think Georgia will have 6 commitments? Do you think they will have 7 commitments, or do you think they might even have 8 commitments with a surprise one thrown in there as well? Georgia currently with 1 5-star, 1 top 50, 2 top 100, 2 top 150, and 2 top 100 commitments as well. That would just be Jaden Perlotti and Elias Williams, the 5-star out of the state of Georgia down there in Camden County in Kingsland. All right, that's your snapshot. Those are your graphics, and let's check out the top early targets. Making his way onto the list, part of our show tonight, Mason Short out of Evans, Georgia. Number 15, Julian Lewis, Southern Cal, Carrollton, Georgia. I've been looking in the comment section. All you guys thinking, they think they know what's going on with the quarterback situation. I really think there are still multiple end games here with Georgia in the 2025 quarterback cycle. Zion Grady out of Enterprise, Alabama, another big edge. I think I could just be real by just share this right now. This is not a very good year for edge prospects in the country. It kind of Georgia, they went heavy on edge prospects with 3 terrific players. I don't know if you've gotten all your intel on practices, but Samuel Mpemba is looking great at what Georgia's asking him to do right now. Damon Wilson is certainly looking great. I think Kirby Smart used the terms twitchy and violent, and every time I hear a head coach talk about twitchy and violent with a defensive player, that not only has my curiosity, that has my full attention. And then you've got Gabe Harris, who is an absolute manimal right now, doing some great things for the Dogs right now in practices consistently, putting on some weight, kind of changing his body after his first full year on campus. But Georgia didn't go after edges last year, and this was a year where they really had an opening. They had a need to kind of go for the edge position. And this is a year that's not really beneficial for you to have a needed edge because there's not a lot of players in this class the caliber of a Gabe Harris or a Damon Wilson or even a Samuel Mpemba. So that will be worth watching. Eugene Hilton out of Zionsville, Indiana. That's the NFL legacy. Hope you guys saw the story about Bryce Davis. I think he was an incredible interview guy to talk to. I think he gave me more impressive quotes, clips, sound bites, whatever you want to have it, in the first 3 minutes of an interview than I could ever ask for. He's out of Grimsley, a high school in Greensboro, North Carolina. Georgia sees him. They show him a lot of film of Robert Beal and Nolan Smith. Can be kind of a hybrid edge, can kind of play the outside linebacker position, but also maybe play the 5 as well. He's about 6'3.5", 250 pounds. Dijon Lee, another near 5-star corner out of California. There's Mr. Matt Zollers at number 10. Another edge guy that I think maybe could be the best fit for Georgia at edge this year, that would be Darren Akinabon out of Hillside, New Jersey. Moving on, that's the first half. This top 8, and I had a couple people reach out to me via different methods last week after our show because I said, a good thing for Georgia here is there's 16 names. I think Georgia can get maybe 8, 9, 10 of these 16 names. Maybe that's the right one, but I think everybody wants to take a look at the top early targets. That would be 1 through 8. Check these guys out right here. Now, more people asked me, like they thought the better question was, okay, they kind of thought, hey, I want to know how many of the top 8 you could get. You guys are going to wait and see this. You're going to want to know, like, hey, what's going on with David Sanders? He just got back from Ohio State. Elijah Griffin, Justice J. Terry. You guys saw last week on Before the Hedges that Justice was back into the mix. Cortez Smith, a very big name in this class. He was in Athens today, and I kind of shared on social media that every time Big Cortez visits Athens, that's a very, very big visit. That's funny. I think, somebody was workshopping a line. I was kind of thinking, explorers, they followed Cortez to find conquistadors, I believe, followed Cortez to find gold. I believe he found Mexico. Well, if you want to find a first down, you follow Cortez Smith in his blocks at Parkview High School. You got Juan Gaston. You got C.J. Wiley. I wrote about C.J. Wiley earlier this week on DawgNation.com. C.J., every time I see him, the guy's getting better. C.J. is a guy that his interview reps are getting better. He's getting faster. He's playing with a lot more confidence. Your top early targets. I think I tried to cover most of those except for Zayden Walker and Travis Smith. If you want to talk about a guy that the staff needs to get back into Athens, needs to start talking to him, I think probably if you could say which visit would most help the Dogs if the Dogs could get them back on campus, I think Zayden Walker would be great. I think David Sanders would be great. Justice Terry might be the obvious answer. But, C.J. Wiley, actually, he's been to Auburn. He was at Texas A&M earlier this week. He's going to go to Auburn this weekend for his official visit. He saw Florida State, I believe, today. Some of these dudes are busy. And, for really Georgia's class right there, you got 8 names right there. Do I think Georgia's going to go 8 for 8? No, I don't. But I think, realistically speaking, the way things stand right now, I think Georgia could probably get 5, 6, 7 of those 8 names. It's funny, the one thing that's great about recruiting is that the most likely 5 or 6 right now might not be the same 5 or 6 2 months from now. And that's why we all follow the joys of recruiting. Now's the time of our show. We call it out. We have our bell cow. We talk about our we got a few minutes for this, our just off the list. Nikolai Brooks, big guy out of Cedar Rapids, Iowa. He's going to take an official visit during that desired weekend. I still have Isaiah Gibson on this list. Christian Gass out of Covington. He's rated as an edge, but I think Georgia wants him as an inside backer. Christian Garrett out of Prince Avenue Christian. New name here. Kind of always dreamed of being at Georgia. Talon Taylor out of Geneva, Illinois. Just visited recently. I would say the stock between Georgia and the stock between Taylor and Georgia is definitely up right now and just off the list. Got a few more names to show you as well just off the list. You've got, again, these are guys that I think strong mutual interest between the Dogs and also the prospects themselves. Are they part of what I think are the 16 most likely names right now? Don't think so, but these guys could obviously move on to the list. Ousmane Kromah. I know folks down in Lee County that are watching this program, those down South Georgia Before the Hedges fans that that watch, they're kind of encouraged to see Ousmane back. And I'll be honest, guys, Ousmane has become more of a priority to new running backs coach Josh Crawford than maybe he felt he was from Dell McGee in the previous search. You got repetition right there. That's my bad right there. We have Mason Short on both lists. Mason Short is now on the top targets list. Kevin Wynn, a big-time nose out of Greensboro, Georgia as well. Can you imagine the thought of getting big Kevin Wynn next to big Stephon Shivers in the future? Ryan Montgomery's still on this list. He's still got an official visit scheduled for Georgia for the middle of June as well. That are your top targets. That is just off the list. Now is what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a quick look through YouTube Say what you guys have to say. How you guys doing? How are you guys doing today? Robert Kermit Cole, how are you? We got Taylor Russell. We got Rhett Womack. Rhett, I'm going to tell you, man, you might be onto something there. I think, and I had somebody whose opinion I trust a great deal say that Wiley is the number one receiver in the state. Taylor Russell helping me with my history right here. He says, didn't Cortez introduce plague? Oh, man, come on. I'm just trying to come up with a clever phrase right there. Rhett Womack also says that he says he wants Zollers over the circus. And Paul Moon weighs in. I don't know if I like our chances with either Juju or Zollers, but I trust whomever the coaches target. Let me see. You guys have any other questions? Let me make sure I go to Facebook. Rhett Womack also wants Sanders, Griffith, and Zayden. Let me see. Hope everybody had a great Easter. Hope everybody found the Easter egg. I think Rhett said something early in the program I wanted to highlight. He also talked about Nasir Johnson from Dublin High School as well. I think a lot of Georgia's worries, they would feel a little bit better about, do they need a defensive lineman in the portal post G-Day during that April portal window. I think they feel a lot better if they would have had a guy like Nasir Johnson in the fold and in the program practicing right now. Taylor Russell, good line there. Everybody's trying to workshop their lines. He's got Shiver Me Timbers. He broke that one out while he was watching the Stephon Shivers prospects right now. I see Will Dickerson on the DawgNation homepage. I see Randy Hall. He wants an update on Bo and our Barbour, who gets credit on the two possible commits. And we're definitely going to have to put that scoreboard up next week because we're going to have some opportunities there. Let me jump on Facebook as well. Hope everybody is having a great night. Hope everybody found the Easter egg. Hope everybody saw Mabel and thought, isn't that just the cutest thing ever? And let me see what's going on Facebook. Thanks to everybody for continually watching us on Facebook. Make sure I mute myself. Matthew Goodwin, I can say without a doubt that I think Georgia will get the most commitments for the 2025 class in the month of July. That's one of those things where you better have your edits ready and you better have your prepared stories. Well, as well, Marshall Fleming's got a question. He read on the Penn State site that Zollers only played quarterback for 1 year, and they think he's the next Josh Allen. Has he only played quarterback 1 year, and do you think his ceiling is that high? He's played more than 1 year. I don't know where they got that from, but he played mostly running back. He played mostly wide receiver coming up, but he has been a quarterback for a couple of seasons at least. Tramel Boyd gives a shout-out to Stephon Shivers for choosing UGA as well. We've got Jerry Popham talking about Jared Curtis. Jerry says, Jared is a couple years younger than my younger grandson, but until my grandson recently had his hair trimmed quite a bit, you would have thought you were looking at twins. They look so much alike. Hope you guys like the really hope you like the stories we had today. If you had a favorite, we're always about quality control. We're always about trying to make sure that suggestion box is filled with building a better Before the Hedges each and every week, brought to you by Kroger. Do you have a favorite segment today? If you liked the stuff with Stephon Shivers, if you like the stuff with Jared Curtis and his family pet Mabel that we've now made viral internet DawgNation famous, and his great interview there with his mother, Barbara Whittington-Curtis. We also had our Dog of the Week with Jamari Salyer. I think Kaylee would probably vote for Jamari as the Dog of the Week is her favorite segment. And we also got Matt Zollers news and Mason Short news. If you like something, if you want to see more of it, if you enjoyed it, if you want more Easter eggs in every show, let us know, because we are here for you, just like your local neighborhood Kroger. We want you to fill the cart up with good stuff. Here we want you guys to fill the memory basket up with good times, good information, and good intel here on Before the Hedges, brought to you by Kroger. Guys, it has been a show. I'm trying to make sure we keep our shows in the off-season right around an hour. I've tried to spackle this thing full of intel. I'm Jeff Sentell. That has been all your intel. We got a busy day on Thursday and Friday with potential commitments, and we'll have everything there for you on the pages of DawgNation.com. Love you guys. Bless you guys. You guys have a great week, and why don't we just do all this back again next week here on Before the Hedges.